Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Crossing the crosswalk at school is something every student does, but is still as dangerous as ever. Students in Lloydminster had the opportunity to learn more about crosswalk safety in this week's edition of Beyond the Classroom.
Students at Father Gorman Elementary got the latest from AMA regarding proper traffic safety in school zones. The day started with a learning session in the classroom, eventually leading them outside to soak up some sun with some outdoor practice.
So there's a safety patrol meeting to help to learn about and help students cross the road. My second year safety patrol, I've done it last year, and I'm looking forward to helping students cross the road.
The event not only informs students on safe practices, it also teaches them valuable life lessons.
As much as it is a safety program, it is also a leadership program. So this really, for a lot of children, gives them the first opportunity to sort of get a taste of leadership within their school communities. It's also really introducing them to volunteerism as well. And as we know, there's a lot that goes on in our communities that wouldn't happen without volunteers.
And that's all for this week's edition of Beyond the Classroom.
At Lakeland College, our students go beyond the classroom for immersive, hands-on learning experiences. It's about experiencing the real world, because the real world doesn't wait, and neither do we.
With it getting to this point in the year, the mornings are way chillier than this point in the day, isn't that right?
Yeah, for sure. I am able to walk to work every day, and so I feel the wind on my ears and in my back. It ruins my perfect hair.
My ears get cold quick, and it's this Lloyd wind that really gets me.
Well, because we don't have any trees around here. It's nice and flat here in the Saskatchewan area. But as you said, it does get a little bit warmer throughout the rest of as the day goes on, and we get a bit warmer elsewhere. But we're just, it's getting warmer, but it gets quite cold all the way down to 0 as we finish out the day. Except for today, it was a little bit better warmer than the usual average. Right now, we're looking at 0 degrees as the usual normal flare low. We are at 2 degrees. Quite a bit warmer, though, at that 16-degree average, though. And our average monthly precipitation is at 17.5, and we still to date only have 2.3. So that's good because, rain is another thing to make fall less than pleasant. Looking at Lloydminster Airport, we're sitting at a nice 15 degrees right now and no wind, making it so that it's a perfect 15 degrees. We're sitting at about 44% humidity. Then going elsewhere, looking at North Battleford, they're sitting at 17 degrees with no wind chill as well, and they're even less humid there, so it's actually quite a nice day out in Saskatchewan. And then going a little north here at Cold Lake, they're sitting at 16 degrees, pretty close to us with that 44% humidity as well. Now taking a look at our current temperatures across the region, we'll start in Alberta. Lac-La-Biche and Cold Lake, as mentioned, are at that 16 degrees, as is St. Paul. Bonnyville is going to be sitting at one of our warmer places at 17, as is our neighbors down in Vermilion. Then Vegreville and Wainwright also sitting at that 16. Provost down south is going to be sitting at 17. And our friends over in Edmonton, our Oilers fans, even though they're not playing in Edmonton tonight, are sitting at a nice 13 degrees. So then we'll now look into the Saskatchewan side. Lacrosse is sitting at 16 degrees. Pierceland at 17 degrees. Green Lake at 14 degrees. St. Walburg also sitting at that 16 degrees, as we are here in Lloydminster. Meadow Lake and Maidstone at 15 degrees. And then looking down south, we're going to see North Battleford at that 16. And Macklin is going to be our warm area here in the border Lakeland area at 18 degrees. Now looking at tonight's forecast, we're going to be down to that 2 as mentioned, but it's going to be nice and clear. So if you're going to be going out to the Bobcats game tonight or any of those activities, you're going to be sitting at a nice 2 degrees as we finish out the night. North Battleford is going to be pretty close there with the 3 degrees as well, but they're going to be seeing that wind, unfortunately, being a little bit breezy this evening. Then into Cold Lake, they're going to be pretty much exactly the same as us, 2 degrees, nice and clear, and so you'll get a nice look at that moon to finish out the day today here on this lovely Wednesday in fall. But now we'll take a quick look at your 3-day forecast. So tomorrow we're going to be sitting at a nice 11 degrees as our high. going to stay about the same at that cold at 2 degrees. Then on Friday, we're going to be sitting at 12 degrees with a low of 0. So as we get closer to fall, we're going to be getting those lower temperatures. And then to begin your weekend, we're going to have another 12 degrees as well, a little warmer as a low at 1 degree. But I'll send it back over to Callan with our next headlines.
Thank you, Thomas. After the break, we see the latest in a controversial decision to remove Pride tape from the NHL. The LCHS Barons football team is preparing for their final game of the regular season against the St. Mary Marauders. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
3, 2, 1, Bears Pride!
The Barons are just about to finish their first season in the North Saskatchewan Football League, and while they only have one win on the season, the team has enjoyed the year overall.
It's been fun. It's definitely new challenges, new competition. I always like that, so to play those teams more in the Sask area, it's nice. I like it a lot more.
Their final game is a must-win in order for them to make playoffs. They will be heading on the road to Prince Albert to play the St. Mary Marauders, and the team is ready for their run-heavy attack.
St. Mary's, they kind of run a wing T formation, so they're really a run-first team. I think they ran the ball 50 times last game. I don't think they passed it. They'll pass a little bit, I imagine, on us. So we just have to make sure we align properly and give the right assignments. And so we're just kind of putting our guys, hopefully, in the best position to be successful.
The Barons are hungry to get a win on this final game of the season, especially after being unable to get the win when they were in Prince Albert last week.
We went to PA last week, and we played under. We didn't play very well, right? But going in to PA this week, I think the boys are hungry. We want to play well. We want to keep going, right? We want to play in the snow. We want to play in the snow, yeah. So I think if we play hard, do our jobs, we'll get it done over there, and then we'll keep moving on.
Thomas Wildman, Primetime, local news.
Our Thomas Wildman does sports, but he also does a bit of the weather.
Well, thanks, Callan. I guess we'll start looking at the Alberta side, though, here first for our current temperatures. Going out west a bit here, Athabasca is going to be sitting at 14 degrees, with Edmonton sitting at that 13 degrees that we mentioned earlier. Down south, our friends are looking quite a bit colder. Red Deer is at 9 degrees, as is Rocky Mountain House at 7, and even further west, close to where I'm from, Whitecourt, Edson is at 9, with Edson and Jasper sitting at 8. Then we'll look at our Saskatchewan side. Our friends at the LCHS Barons will be heading out to Prince Albert very soon. They're sitting at 16 degrees right now. Melfort's going to be sitting at 15, and Saskatoon also at that 16 degrees. Then we'll look across in the northern part of the Saskatchewan province here. Uranium City is sitting at 14 degrees, Stony Rapids at 16 degrees, Wolstone Lake is sitting at 11 degrees, with Lalouche sitting at 15 degrees, and Buffalo Meadows also at that 15 degrees, with Linthon also sitting at 13 degrees. We'll go back to that quick and look at the Alberta side in the north. The Alberta side is sitting at 17 degrees there at Fort Chipewyan. Fort McMurray is actually one of the hottest places here in Alberta at 19 degrees. Slave Lake and Peace River are sitting at 14 degrees. Grand Prairie is a little bit cooler at that 9 degrees. But now we'll take a look at your guys' school day forecast for all of our younger viewers today. Morning, it's going to be a lot cooler at that low of 2 degrees for tomorrow. Then tomorrow around recess time, we're going to see that warming up coming a little bit at 5 degrees. Lunch, it's going to be sitting around 8 degrees at that noon time. And then as you finish out the day, it's going to be one of the warmer parts of your day, so you'll be able to have a nice finish to your day at a nice 10 degrees. For tomorrow's forecast at North Battleford, they're going to be sitting at that 11 degrees. Some low clouds followed by some sun and a little bit cooler as they go on. Then we'll look at Cold Lake now here. They're sitting at 15 degrees with plenty of sunshine, so it'll be a nice day out in Cold Lake, and it'll be a little bit better here than here in Lloydminster. Now look at our travel forecast across the region, and so we'll start with Meadow Lake and Provost sitting at 12 degrees. They'll see a little bit of clouds there in Meadow Lake, though. Bonnyville is going to be sitting at 15 degrees, Isle Cross at 14 degrees, and Paradise Hill is going to be sitting at 11 degrees as a little cooler place in the travel forecast. Murnum and Pierceland are sitting at 14 degrees. with Unity a little later sitting at 11 degrees. Wainwright's going to be at 13 degrees, and then Calgary is going to be at 12 degrees, though there might be a chance of an AM shower tomorrow in Calgary. Now, overnight, as you travel, Calgary is going to see a little bit of rain, a 57% chance of that precipitation at a low of 6 degrees. But it's going to be quite cold across the region here, close. Wainwright and Unity and Pearceland all sitting at 1 degree, though Pearceland and Unity are going to be nice and clear for that late night. Murnum at 2 degrees as well at that clear. So closer here, Meadow Lake is going to be sitting at 2 degrees. Bonnyville and Provost at that low 1 degree, so nearly down to 0 there. And Isle La Crosse is sitting at 5 degrees, with Paradise Hill sitting at 2 degrees as well, with some increasing cloudiness there as well as in Provost. But now we'll take a look at the 7-day forecast. We already mentioned that the Thursday and Friday we're going to be sitting around 11 and 12. Then on Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be a nice and warm day to finish out there in the weekend with the 12 degrees and then warming up quite a bit to 14. Though, as we mentioned earlier in the cast, it's going to be quite breezy throughout the weekend there. So make sure you maybe have a toque on to cover your ears. Then on Monday, we're going to see it being nice and warm at 16 degrees with a thick cloud cover, and it's going to be a little bit mild there. Tuesday, we're going to see that rain and kind of get closer to the usual average of around 15 with a 15 degrees and 59% chance for that rain in the morning. And then finishing up here on Wednesday, it's going to be 13 degrees with a low of 6. But that's going to do it for our weather forecast. We'll head back over to Cowan with a few more news parts after the break.
Well, first off, Bobby, thank you so much for joining me today. We are so excited about your Repair Cafe coming to the Lloydminster Public Library on Saturday, October 28th. So for this event, it is a pop-up one-day event that is encouraging us to repair items instead of throwing them out. So tell us a bit more about how this came to be and what we can expect on that Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, repair cafes are initiatives that are trying to reduce waste and encourage people to repair them. They are completely volunteer run. So, everybody that's there repairing things is volunteers. And what to expect. So we encourage booking appointments on our website, but walk-ins are welcome. So when you get there, if you've got an appointment, you would meet with a repair volunteer. If you don't have an appointment, you might be waiting for a minute. So you bring in your item, you meet with a repair volunteer, and you are expected to stay with your item and try to learn from the volunteer, and hopefully you can learn how to repair it yourself next time or repair something else next time something else breaks.
That sounds like it is going to be an incredible event. You're not just getting something repaired, but you're learning how to do it yourself to save time in the future. That is so productive. So each event is unique, meaning the types of volunteers that you are going to get will vary. So far, what can we expect in Lloydminster? And are you looking for any more volunteers with any specific skills?
Absolutely. We're always looking for more volunteers. Currently, we have repair stations for mending clothes and fabric, repairing computers, and repairing bikes. And we really would love somebody who could repair small appliances like toasters and blenders and things like that. But of course, if you have any repair skills at all, and also non-repair skills, we need a couple more people to help at the registration table. So really, any and all volunteers would be more than welcome.
Perfect. It sounds like there are a lot of opportunities for a lot of people to come out and support in many ways. Now, how can people volunteer, sign up to have items fixed, and where can people find more information?
Yeah, absolutely. On our website, which is swrc.ca/events, you would find the Repair Cafe page, and then there's a link to there's a link to register to volunteer, and there's also more information about the Lloydminster Repair Cafe as well as the other repair cafes we have in the province.
Wonderful. So the Lloydminster one is going to be coming to the Lloydminster Public Library on Saturday, October 28th from 11 until 3 or 4. Is that correct?
Yes, 11 until 3.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, Bobby, thank you so much for joining me today. Is there anything else you want to mention or talk about the Repair Cafe?
We also want to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, Affinity Credit Union, who is helping us put on all of these repair cafes this year.
Perfect, Bobby. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us once again for another episode of Healthy, Thriving Family After Divorce. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator at Henke Divorce Law and Mediation here in Lloydminster. Stephanie, thanks for joining us once again.
Thanks for having me, Stacy.
Well, it is getting close to the spooky season. Halloween is coming up. And we want to talk about, because, with divorce and separation and Halloween comes kids and candy. And I'm guessing there are parents out there who probably don't have the same opinions as to how their kids should be handling candy on Halloween. So we're going to try and get that sorted out. Let's first of all talk about, Stephanie, how people go about sharing kids for Halloween and where they should start with making a plan for that.
Well, this is one of those topics that may or may not be an issue for families. And so when I talk with families trying to create their parenting plan, I find that I always ask them about the various holidays throughout the year. And some parents will say, well, we don't need to plan for Halloween. It's no big deal. And some families say, no, we really need to plan. So if you find that it's a special day for either you or for the other parent, of course, it's always, for young kids especially, it's always important. But it's really important that if you feel like there might be a conflict with respect to the sharing of Halloween itself, then it's a really good idea to make a plan. So here's a few ideas you might want to consider for the sharing of October 31st itself. So here's some ideas. So alternate years so that one parent has the children for October 31st this year, and then next year the other parent has that day. Or you could even try to think of, if you don't want to miss the year, you could think of splitting the year, right? Now, sometimes it's problematic because, there's school that day and, how do you split the time from after school? But you can say something like at least 1 hour with the children on October 31st. Or if we look at it from the kids' point of view, parents could say that they'll even both be able to join in on the fun. So it's not necessarily a parent holiday, it's actually a kid holiday, and we both get to go trick-or-treating, or we both get to help them get into their costumes.
Well, the next thing I do wanted to talk about is costumes, because opinions on those can differ as well, especially as the kids get a bit older. So how do they go about coming to an agreement on costumes for the kids?
Well, costumes can be such a difficult issue. I mean, they're so much fun for kids. I cannot believe how much costumes cost these days. It's incredible. So it can really become a sore point for families. And again, some families are really into this holiday and some are really not. So it's a really good idea at the very least to make a plan for it ahead. So first, thinking about the costume selection. So some parents want to leave it up to the kids to decide, and others parents, one or both parents want to participate in that decision making process. It seems extravagant to really be thinking so deeply into this one particular day of the year, but it's amazing. Some parents really are really interested in making sure that this is planned out. The second one I just mentioned was the cost. So, is there a budget for the costume? And if so, is this a shareable cost? Halloween costumes aren't necessarily one of what we call the extra expenses or the special expenses that we've talked about in other episodes about child support. But definitely you want to talk about how those costumes are going to be planned for. I know when my kids were little, we had a rule that you only get to buy a costume every other year. And the in-between year, you have to do some kind of a DIY costume or reuse something, or even go into the tickle trunk of the dress-up clothes. And then lastly, I recommend definitely making a plan for who gets the kids all dressed up. There's more than one opportunity, to get the kids dressed up. There's school time, there's trick-or-treating time, there could be Halloween parties. But, circling back to the first tip that we were talking about is in figuring out how to share that holiday.
All right, well, let's talk about the plan, the Halloween plan. So, what do you advise that parents do to make this plan?
Well, you said it at the beginning of the most important, what is this holiday about? It's about trick or treating and candy. So there are parents who have very differing ideas about what those guidelines should be. How much candy kids can have. So you may want to have a shared understanding about how much candy the kids are actually allowed to have, either the day of Halloween or in the weeks after Halloween. Some parents say, you can stuff yourself on Halloween and the week of, but then after that, it all goes into the garbage or what have you. I know some dentists have those things where if the more pounds of candy that you bring to the dentist office, they put you in for a draw or something like that. And also, talking about curfew. So if kids are old enough to go out without their parents, is there a mutually agreeable curfew with respect to Halloween in particular?
All right, lots to think about coming up
Yeah.
for Halloween here in a couple of weeks. So, thanks so much for helping us out with that, Stephanie, and we'll chat with you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey.
All right, we'll take one last look at your 7-day forecast. As mentioned, it's going to be nice 11 degrees for you guys tomorrow as your high, with 2 degrees as your low. Then looking into Friday, Saturday, it's going to be nice and high at that 12-degree mark. Sunday, we're going to be seeing our warmer spot there at 14 degrees. And then into next week, we're going to see a nice high of 16 on that Monday with rain on Tuesday.
We don't have a story to wrap up today, but I do want to talk about this jersey. I haven't mentioned it yet. The Oilers season is officially starting tonight.
Yes, they're playing the Vancouver Canucks, who they did beat last week on opening night, but they are on the road, and they have not, in the McDavid era, actually won an opening game on the road.
Wow.
Yeah, 0-2, actually. I looked it up. I saw that on Oilers Nation
Both of those
today.
against Vancouver?
No, I don't think. I think one of them was when they were up against St. Louis, like his very first
I
year.
see.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm expecting a McDavid Art Ross this year. Another one.
MVP too?
MVP. Hart, yeah. I think he's got that locked.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a good year for Oilers fans, hopefully.
That's all the time we have for you on Primetime Local News. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.